Assalamu alaikum. This is Abdullah Al Mamun, Department of Banking and Insurance, University of Rajshahi. Today I will discuss about aggregate demand. At first we have to know that what is aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is the term used in microeconomics to describe the total demand for goods produced domestically including consumer goods, service and capital goods. Aggregate demand also refers to the demand for the country's gross domestic product and the measure of demand for goods and services at all price levels. A price level is the hypothetical overall price of goods and services in the economy. It is determined using the consumer's price index, which is measure of the weight price of a basket typically purchased goods and services in the economy. Components of the aggregate demand. It is typically the sum of four components. First, consumption spending. Second, investment spending. Third, government spending. And fourth, net export. First, we discuss about consumption spending, which is represented by the symbol of C. Consumption spending is the largest component of the economic aggregate demand, and it refers to the demand the total spending of individuals and households on goods and services in the economy. Consumption spending depend on several factors such as disposable income, per capita income, debt, consumers' expectation of future economic conditions, and interest rates. Second, investment spending. Investment spending is the total expenditure on new capital goods and services such as machinery, equipment, changing in inventories, investment in non-residential structure and residential structures. Investment spending depends on the factors such as interest rates and future expectation regarding the economy and government incentives. Government spending, which is generally represented by the symbol of G, government spending is the total amount of expenditure by the government on infrastructure investment, defense and military equipment, public sector facilities, healthcare service and government employees. Net export. Export are the product that are produced by domestic producer and sold abroad, while import are product that are manufactured abroad and import for domestic purchase. Net export are used to the difference between export and import. It is the important to remember that aggregate demand is the total demand for domestically produced goods and services. Therefore, export are added to the aggregate demand, whereas import are subtracted. A measure of export minus import is called net export, an important determinant of aggregate demand. How to shift in aggregate demand? Aggregate demand curve plots the demand for domestically produced goods and services at all price level. Real GDP measures the value of gross domestic product, adjust for inflation, and provide a more accurate picture of the change in domestic demand than nominal GDP. When aggregate demand shift to right, that's mean the demand rise of overall economy. That's why the interest rate also increase. The aggregate demand is downward sloping since aggregate demand curve aggregate demand curve is downward sloping since aggregate price levels correspond to lower demand for goods and services, which is accordance with the law of demand. How to calculate aggregate demand? It is easy to calculate aggregate demand by using the formula aggregate demand equal consumption, investment, government spending and net export. X minus M equal export and import and their difference. This is the short summary of this chapter aggregate demand. So